What we're going to do today is we're going to go to the left menu and we'll click the three little lines up here, the hamburger button. And what that allows us to do is to bring up the menu and kind of expand this out. The point of me doing this video is just to show you this so that if you actually get a job, you could actually go use this tool just by watching my videos, okay? So we're going to go to the Explore, which you see that's a new section, and we're going to be on the assets today. We'll go to Find this next, but today we're going to be on the assets. So what I want to do is I want you to show you how this actually works, because there's times when you're doing vulnerability management, you need to be able to like identify different information or group machines into different groups or whatever in order to effectively prioritize doing vulnerability remediation. And so the assets come into play here because what Tenable has done is they've given you a really creative way to be able to divide up your assets. So we'll start here. I'm going to like leave this, but we'll start with the left menu. You're going to go walk down what they give you. And once again, I used to have to do this with a query, but now they've made it pretty easy. And there used to be a little menu like this, but it used to be checkboxes. So it was a little bit harder to navigate. It was just kind of a little bit more clunky. So we can do it by type. Now, what I want to do is I want to break down each of these categories, like what the difference is. So when we say about host is going to be like a physical machine. You know, that could be a Windows, a Linux or Mac device. That could be a virtual machine too. So don't, anything think of it as a traditional computer. But you also have a separate category, which is going to be your web application. So in Tenable, you do have the ability to do what's called web application scans, which means let's say you have you vibe coded, or maybe you have a development team, you created an app and you put that app on the internet somewhere. Okay. And so other attackers and malicious people who are doing nefarious things, or bots or AI, they can attack their web application. But what you can do with the Tenable Web Application Scan is it allows you to be able to scan that application to determine the vulnerabilities so that you can address the vulnerabilities. So that is why the Web Application Scan is valuable. Let's move on here. OS stands for operating system. And some of you know this, but I want to make sure that I'm inclusive for everybody who I'm doing this videos from, okay? So operating system, and you see our breakdown, we got Linux and Unix, right? And then we have Mac OS, Windows, and then we have other. Well, we say, what is other? Well, a good example is you can do what's called a Nessus scan, which is basically, a good example here, I could take it and I could scan the entire network here. It will pick up my TVs. It will pick up those LED bulbs back there. It would do a discovery scan, a hosted discovery scan is what it's called. And once it scans it, it puts it in the asset inventory. You don't have to have a physical piece of software installed. It can use it basically by scanning by IP address and then using other intelligence to be able to determine what type of device it is or make a guess. That most likely would fall under other or unknown. Okay, so the light bulbs and stuff like that might fall under unknown. Then like maybe printers and networking equipment and routers and stuff like that might fall under other. But you can also like filter it down by profile. So you got things that are in the cloud, and then you say compute and application servers. Like this is maybe something also that resides in the cloud. When I think of compute, not so sure about that one. Once again, don't really have an explanation, but a lot of times in the cloud, you do reference like cloud computer or compute engine and stuff like that. So don't hold me to that one. But it looks like you can break it down by healthcare, which is cool. So you could identify medical devices, Internet of Things, legacy devices, network infrastructure. So this would be another breakdown, your routers, switches, firewalls, operational technology, whole different category. This comes with SCADA, PLCs, and other type of things that, and automation is stuff like, for instance, it can be anything from, or operational technology could be anything like from your security system to like something that controls the valves at a water treatment facility, or controls the rock crusher at a rock quarry or something like that. That is operational technology. So you would have the ability to break down and identify that, which I think is really cool. Peripheral, I don't know if that's just like printers and stuff like that, personal computing. All right, so it gives us 5 there. And so you can see personal computer, that just comes down to PCs. Telecom, that could be voice over IP phones or something like that. Once again, unknown, unclassified, and virtual machines. There we go. So we have 2. So VM or workload. So the reality is it picked up both of my laptops. I'm not sure why it comes up with that. Let's take a peek. Does it give us some kind of category? It say VM or workload. So I don't know if that's like a VM I have on my laptop. I think I might, because I did take it to a CTF exercise recently. So maybe it's picking up the virtual machines. And also laptop 3, that's Adias. She's the CEO of Technology Interpreters now. Shout out to her. So that's her laptop. And she also did a capture the flag exercise. So I think it's actually detecting virtual machines on our laptops, because those are both physical laptops. All right, and then we get down here and we have unmanaged assets, hosts, and web applications. So typically unmanaged assets means that things that we find with our discovery scan, but it doesn't have like a Tenable agent on it. There's nothing physically or logically or software or anything on it to manage the device. So that's where you get there. So now let's go up here to the top. Create actions. So dynamic tagging, I think I'm going to leave that. That's a separate category, but I'll explain what dynamic tagging is. So let's go back to these Windows devices. So with dynamic tagging, say for instance, these machines that say PG and these machines that say, well, if these machines in PG, let's say those reside in Portland or something like that. So with these devices, oh, did I just see something? Oh, it looks like we got something pretty cool there. Check that out. So it looks like we got a file right there. We can hover over it and it brings up additional information. Don't know what it's showing, so I don't want to show y'all on the video. Those who are trying to do nefarious stuff will go back and look anyway. So, but like we say for PG, if I wanted to dynamically classify these by location, so I say everything that begins with PG, I say that's located in Portland. Everything that begins with TI, that is associated with Texas. And then we'll go ahead and see how we have tags over here. This is an example. It would actually have these tags, and I can use these tags to say, for instance, maybe I have users who are at that location. Then I can use the tags to dynamically like associate it, so they can only maybe see those machines at that location. So that's a good example, or a simple example of dynamic tagging. Okay. So that looks like that's it, but we're not finished. No, so let's talk about the views. Once you've got things filtered down the way that you want to, you can save them, but looks like you can add new folders. You can do Tenable queries. Haven't played with this, so whenever I do, if I come across this, I'll do a whole separate video on that. But let's talk about the query. So let's say, for instance, I wanted to find all machines that have a name or an IP address or an operating system or something. So let's go ahead and test it. So if I want to do right here, operating system 192.168.1.74. So can I filter by IP address? There should be a field here. So I can say IPv4 address, and then I can hit the tab key and say it's equal to, and then I can paste that right here in the box. I can put multiple addresses, and then I'm just going to hit the search button. And you see, I filtered down to that machine. Pretty cool. So let's say if I just wanted to say, I wanted to look up agent name. And so you notice the field says, this says agent name, but the column was actually just name. So is that separate? Looks like it's the same thing. So we'll give it a shot. So we'll name, and then we have our operators. Exists is not equal to. So there's a trick in Tenable. You notice they don't have a contains here. I like a contains because I can say the name contains PG, starts with PG, ends with PG. They don't have that. So I'm going to use equals to, and I'm going to say, I'm going to put double quotes around PG asterisk and close that. And I'm just going to see if that allows me to do a wildcard search. That didn't work, so it didn't like that. So I'll try agent name is equal to, and then you see where it says right here, agent name asterisk for a wildcard, and I'll say PG asterisk without the double quotes, and let's see if we can filter down. Okay, so that works. So that allows me to be able to find machines. But this is helpful because you're like, okay, well, why are you doing this? Like, that's not necessary. With 7 machines, maybe not. But when you have thousands of machines and you're trying to understand, like maybe for instance, sometimes you're not just literally doing it for the vulnerability. Sometimes other groups need information. And because we a lot of times have our security tools on these devices, then it can give an opportunity for us to be able to provide additional information. So having an asset inventory is one of the most important things when it comes to cybersecurity. But your bottom line is it gives you a lot of help. I was not a big fan of when Tenable made the changes, but I will tell you that with the new changes that Tenable made, and with me working with multiple other competitors in the industry, Tenable by far is one of the easiest and one of the best. They are the top dogs based on everything I know when it comes to cybersecurity vulnerability remediation. And on my channel, I specialize in teaching you everything you need to know so that hopefully when you get through watching my videos, you'll be job ready. If this video was helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel, and I will see you on part 7 of the series.